Welcome back, folks. You're watching Sport Federation TV, where, of course, we carry on talking about sport in the Western Cape. And if you've been watching, you'll know that we've spoken to gymnastics on a number of occasions. Western Cape Gymnastics, of course, part of South African gymnastics, and, of course, competing internationally as well. Well, a new sport code that is just affiliated to the gymnastic structure globally, and you've seen this in the movies and in various places, is a sport called parkour. And of course, in studio with me now, Western Cape, South Africa, obstacle elite, athlete on every level, parkour coach, Dominque de Olivera. Dominque, welcome to Sport Federation TV.
Thank you for having me.
First time that we've got you in the studio here. We normally speak gymnastics, and you guys have got this new code now, parkour, that you seem to be specializing in.
Yes, something also very new to me. I come from an artistic gymnastics background, transitioned to various other sports, and then more recently obstacle racing, and then full circle back into gymnastics with the parkour. I'm also still learning a lot. I'm one of the oldest, if not the oldest, athlete in the sport, probably globally. Yes.
Oh, globally, right?
Yes, okay. I recently went to the first World Championships under the gymnastics banner in Japan at the end of last year.
Right.
And I really was the oldest athlete there, specifically oldest female. But I would say that I feel quite honored and proud to be there because I'm there from a learning perspective. I would love to learn more about the sport so that I can coach it and grow it here in South Africa as well. Yeah. So I want to say that I was there sort of by default, maybe based on my experience as a gymnast, as an obstacle racing athlete, and because there are so few women in South Africa competing in the sport, maybe because of the awareness or lack of awareness. But it was an honor to be there, and I'm certainly learning a lot. I did learn a lot from the event, still got a lot to learn, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure how much longer my body can withstand the impact of the sport.
Well, tell us, how did it start for you then? When you say you came from a gymnastics background, what was your speciality? When we speak to gymnastics, we talk about rhythmic gymnastics and apparatus gymnastics, and it's on the mat. I mean, you guys have got quite a few codes there in the gymnastics. Where was your entry point?
I did artistic gymnastics, so that's the one with the vault, bar, beam, and floor.
Right, so that's quite a physical one.
Yeah, well, I'd say they all are, but it's high impact, high intensity, hard on the body. Yeah. But I had a great career. I competed for South Africa as a junior, as a senior, and then I went overseas on a scholarship and competed in the US.
Right.
And then, yeah, it's quite a young sport, so my career was over in my early 20s, came back to South Africa and try to find a new sport to evolve into. I'm a competitive person by nature, so I had to do something. It evolved into triathlon, which evolved into obstacle course racing, and then, like I said, full circle back to gymnastics
to gymnastics, now it's parkour.
Yeah.
All right, so for the folks that have maybe just tuned in now, who are hearing me talking about parkour, just give us an explanation, what is parkour? Because we've heard about it, and obviously when we watch movies nowadays, they've incorporated parkour into every action scene possible. People jumping over balconies, over rivers, or whatever the case may be. Is this what you're doing?
So yes, a lot of people have this image of parkour as being like flashy, jumping from building to building, like you say, doing big flips. And in a sense, that is what it is. But I think that also deters a lot of people away from the sport. Essentially, what parkour means is moving from one place to another, perhaps over obstacles, as efficiently as possible.
Okay.
So anybody can do parkour. You can do parkour if you wanted to. A 70-year-old could do parkour, basically just to move from one place to another over an obstacle as efficiently, smoothly as possible. From a competitive perspective, specifically now under the gymnastics banner, there are two categories. So there's speed course, which is roughly 100 meters of high speed sprinting over man-made obstacles in this case. And there's the freestyle, which is roughly a minute of a freestyle routine which incorporates like gymnastics type of movements that move fluidly from one sort of skill to the next as creatively as possible without the perfectionism of artistic gymnastics. So there's actually no need for perfect landings. In fact, it's probably discouraged. Pointed toes, straight legs. So it's been quite a transition personally for me to get my mindset around trying to be this perfect artistic gymnastics from many years ago
Yeah,
to
yeah.
doing things a little bit more fluidly and loosely now with the parkour,
yes.
and also on a much harder surface, whereas the artistic gymnastics was sprung floors, mat landings,
Yeah.
and now it's literally concrete and hard surfaces.
So how do you train for parkour?
I'm still learning
Is
how
that-
best to train.
Yeah.
So from a skills perspective, it's probably nice to have a nice gymnastics facility that has trampoline, soft floors, pits. If you want to learn big skills safely,
Yeah.
that would be ideal. But you don't have to. You can actually learn it. A lot of our parkour athletes are out on the streets, at building spaces where there's height variations, railings. So to learn more of the basic skills, you actually don't need a lot, which is great because that's where you can try and get the sport included in communities and for people that don't actually have a lot of money. So the barrier to entry for the sport is actually fairly low, which is great.
So what we've seen in the climbing space, and I'm sort of connecting a little bit of climbing here, is that the climbing, our Western Cape climbing structure, which has been very successful, they've got what they call route setters. We're all learning about where they have a specific route to climb, and you have to set it up according to a certain standard. Do you guys have the similar picture with parkour, setting up the obstacles? We've seen some of the obstacles, and they're not balconies and rocks and stuff. On your events, you seem to have like boxes set up, and it's a constructed space.
Yes, and we're lacking a little bit of that in this country at the moment. There are people who have started to create their own training facilities and create their own structures, but compared to what is currently available overseas, we are very, very limited here.
But
so
when you go to a competition, how do you know what you're training for? Is there, because you're all in different provinces, you don't really know what to expect on the day. Who's setting up the obstacle course? The parkour course, I suppose.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, like I've gone into my last few competitions completely blind, not knowing what to expect, how to compete, how it's all going to work. Going to the World Championships was an eye-opening experience, and it's a really great learning experience. So now that I've had that experience and know what it involves to try and bring it back here, yes, it's going to take a bit of money and manpower to try and create something similar. But there are people slowly starting to create those environments and obstacles. But you don't need that to actually start the sport.
What I was heading towards, I suppose, is that when you guys are training for parkour, you're moving from point A to point B at quite a speed, quite a pace, and you have to be able to have your feet, hand-eye coordination timed perfectly, where you're literally figuring out where your foot is going to go next while you're moving. So that, I suppose that's where I was heading, is like, how do you figure it out? Or do you just does your brain just normally like see the place and you guide yourself?
So I think one would need to train, or we need to train in a way that allows you to adapt to different environments and circumstances. So you need to be able to think quick on your feet, because you don't know what the next competition environment is going to look like. And in fact, the athletes are not allowed on course until the day before the competition, when everybody has a training day. Right. So you don't know what to expect. Although there's now, because there have been more competitions, you start to get an idea, okay, there's going to be boxes of varying heights, there's going to be railings, so you need to be able to work with those varying heights, you need to be able to do some bar work. From a freestyle perspective, you need to be able to do certain kind of skills and flips, but you need to be adaptable. And then when you get into that competition environment, you get to practice on that course, and then you can develop like the specific number of steps you need to take on the speed course, or how you want to construct your freestyle routine. So you literally get a day, maybe a day and a couple hours to figure out how you want to construct that.
If I wanted to start parkour tomorrow, which I don't think I'm going to, but if I wanted to start, like, where would I join? How would I get the ball rolling?
Great question.
Do I join a club? Do I go to a gymnastics club?
Yeah, a gymnastics club would probably be a good start if you want to become competitive within the gymnastics banner.
Right.
However, you don't need to do that if you just want to do it recreationally. You can just, at this point, some YouTube videos, and do it out in your natural environment.
Everyone's got some sort of viral video showing some sort of crazy move.
Yes, but you don't need to go crazy. So you can come speak to me. I can help you.
So how do we get hold of you if somebody wants to join your parkour obstacle coaching structure?
All right, so it's still very fresh, but something that I'm working to develop.
Yeah.
You can reach me on social media, or I can send you my number.
Get hold of you through Western Cape Gymnastics?
Western Cape Gymnastics, probably. They have my details, probably they have my details as an athlete, not as a coach. I am qualified through FIG, which is the International Gymnastics Federation. For level 1 coaching, because I want to start growing the sport from the ground up. So I currently coach kids for obstacle racing, and I've started integrating the parkour because there's a lot of overlap with the obstacle racing and the parkour. So from a young age I've started that, but I currently feel like I need more of the space and the facility to build it for more competitive, as the skills increase or improve.
What comes next for you guys? Is it do you have a South African championships or a international championships? What's the big next steps for you guys to be preparing for?
So there is a national championships towards the end of the year, which the athletes are preparing for. Everyone will have to do their provincial championships first to qualify, as with most sports. And then the World Championships is only held every 2 years. So last year was the first, and there'll be another one next year. However, there are 2 World Cups this year, one in France and then one in Bulgaria, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see. It depends on a few things right now, but I'd love to. I would really love to, but we'll see.
Looking forward to that,
Yeah, thank you.
Dominque, thanks for joining us. We can't wait to see more about parkour, more about obstacle racing. Of course, Gymnastics, Western Cape doing fantastic. Yeah, when we can't wait to get you back in the studio.
Thank you. It's great being here.
There we go. There we go, folks. Dominque de Olivera. She's, of course, South African gymnastics, parkour, obstacle course racing. In fact, that's what we're looking forward to finding out more about parkour and obstacle course racing. But look out for Western Cape Gymnastics, of course, promoting these various sport codes. And you can reach out to Dominque via Western Cape Gymnastics and find out a little bit more about parkour. And we'll certainly be talking more about it here on the show. Folks, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll carry on talking sport in the province. Don't go away.